the past year, one name has dominated the Fortnite competitive landscape. But that entire time, one player stood in his shadow, didn't even speak up when he wasn't getting called in the best player conversations, and was completely ignored. And despite being snaked, left without a team, he has managed to overcome all odds and win 4 FNCSs in a row. This is something we have never seen before, and is a new level of competitive dominance from the man in this video, Pollo. I'm going to be explaining exactly what makes Pollo such a dominant player, the 7 characteristics that make him such a good fighter, as well as a full breakdown on how he was able to win this most recent FNCS. Please leave a like and let's get straight into it. This video has been broken down into 2 parts. The very first part is me taking a look at the 7 key areas of Pollo's game that make him such a good fighter, as well as I think are the key reasons why he was able to win 4 FNCSs in a row. I'm not just going to be taking a look at trios though to do this. I'll be breaking down exactly all of his solo fights from the recent Cash Cup, as well as taking a look at exactly what straps he uses every single fight that he gets into for you guys who want to improve at fighting, and also just learn the key fundamentals you need to be a better overall player. Then the second part is going to be a full in-depth breakdown on exactly his, Acorn and Age's strats that allowed them to win FNCS this season. If you're a support player or you're a fragger looking to get better, that part of the video is going to be absolutely perfect for you, so make sure to stay tuned for the entire thing, as well as the full clutch breakdown in the very final game. Alright, without further ado, let's get straight into this with a couple small mechanical things that Pollo does very, very nicely. And one of the first things that I notice whenever I watch Pollo play, whether it's in FNCS Grand Finals or even the solo Cash Cup first game, trying to drop a 30 bomb right here, is he uses sprint really well. Take this example from the very first game. What he does is he sprints completely to the other side of the box, so this player holding the stair at it doesn't expect him to be hit. The guy expects him to be peeking on the door, and instead he's able to sprint over to the other side, watches the play for a second, and then immediately goes ahead and actually takes the stair and hits 150 pump to start off with. Then he uses the sprint in a completely different way. He does a 50-50 edit, doesn't quite hit his shot, so what he goes ahead and does is sprints backwards while moving to the side. You can sprint basically any direction with double movement, and he places the stair over himself with a really quick flick of his mouse. Now at this point in time, the other player starts panicking, and of course Pollo is going to go ahead and use sprint to close the gap between him and the enemy and prevent this guy from running away and disengaging into the building. Using sprint, guys, is genuinely so important. If you haven't got a quick bind for it, I'd really recommend making that change. It's going to massively improve your fighting and also your ability not to die as well. Now the next reason that makes Pollo one of the best fighters in my opinion is the fact that he actually always tracks footsteps correctly. So take a look at this fight right here. So you can see the other guy's getting worked a little bit. He's panicking, making loads of space. But the thing that happens is a third party comes in. I'm sure you guys have this situation happen a lot where somebody starts third partying fights and you take a low damage unexpectedly. But Pollo instantly, upon seeing the third party footsteps, lines up a good peek, doesn't quite hit it, but then goes ahead and turns the aggression towards this other player. This whole time he's building up, he knows exactly where the other guy is, even gets a nice little surprise replace on him with a little bit of peace right there. And this is something you guys need to be practicing. And I would really recommend you work on this as you play creative and as you just go ahead and play the game. Practice tracking footsteps like Pollo does in this fight, and you're going to see the benefit of here in a second. So at this point in time, the fight's pretty neutral. Other guy's getting some long piece. Pollo knows exactly where the guy is, knows where the footsteps are, catches the guy unaware, doesn't even get hit in return right there, and then take a look at how the fight actually ends. Pollo lets the guy heal up for a second, and he pressures this other player without even smacking on his wall, without even shooting his wall, which is something you also need to learn. The other guy, obviously, he's just healed up. He wants to edit because he's back up to full HP. So all Pollo does is sit behind a good peak, block his angles from third party, and lets the guy make the mistake, and he goes ahead and out trades the opponent right there, doesn't even get hit back in return. Then the final end of the fight, all he does is commit forward. He knows the guy wants to edit because he just healed up a second ago, and he lets the guy edit on him, out trades him again. He's only been hit like 30 this entire time, and takes out the player. And this is one of the best players in the lobby with a lot of kills and the mythic, and he took him down after getting third party within a couple seconds of the fight starting, just because he was crosshair tracking properly. It is genuinely one of the most useful skills that you can have in Fortnite. I'd really recommend you guys work on it. Now the next key thing whenever I notice Pollo play is he has really good awareness of using his movement correctly, not just in this nice little free build towards the other player, but how he actually angle swaps. So the guy is obviously expecting him to come over on this side. He goes ahead and very quickly gets onto the wall right here, and while he does this, he has the awareness to use his crosshair to actually get this bottom wall, and now he's got a very free time of jumping down this other player. Shotgun replace, free kill with the AR, and then this is where the actual fight starts versus a slightly better player here, right, as you can see. First thing he does has his wall taken. So what does he do? He gets to the most awkward angle on the wall where the guy can't really do a good edit on him. Guy could maybe quickly do a window peek, but then the wall will be too low as he's spraying it. So he gets to a really awkward point on the wall, the really far left, where the guy can't set up a nice right hand peek for himself, and he's able to take the wall back. And now, because he's on this awkward point on the wall for the other player to edit on him, he automatically has a nice little jumping right hand peek right here, and he can go ahead and reassess and regress the other player. The key thing is though, he doesn't commit forward into the space. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this was like, oh, why why does he not just run through and chase this guy? Because the guy controls all the edits. So even though he's 200 HP and the other guy's only 100 HP, it's still not worth the risk to run through edits that aren't yours. All he does is run around to the side, swinging to the right the entire time he does this, in case the guy doesn't TP straight away. And this is when he uses even more good movement. This is a really, really important thing, is maintaining momentum as you fight. So what does Pollo do as he chases this guy right here? Rather than landing and then sprinting towards the player, all he does is just slide as he drops and reloads his shotgun. Especially this season, we had a 4-bullet shotgun. It's really important that you reload it while you're using your momentum and using your movement, actually maintain that momentum. This allows him to do a shotgun break right here, then another little shotgun break to get up a player, and this is how it actually ends the fight. He gets the high wall on the other player, covers himself with his own floor, and gets the piece on the other player, and takes out the other guy. And that entire fight, obviously those players aren't the best in the world, but he's just using momentum to stay one step ahead of them with his movement. Another of the reasons why Pollo is so good is how good is he on the defensive. So many people make this mistake, is they're really good at offensive fighting, but as soon as they get beamed 100 and they get hit down to low HP, they don't know what they're doing. The first thing that Pollo does very, very nicely is he very quickly is able to rotate stairs to set up a good peak. So if this opponent was to spray through or maybe just stand there for a second, Pollo could quite easily go ahead and hit a shot onto him and get a little timing shot. And this is really, really important, because if somebody is spraying you over and over and you don't shoot back, they're just going to continue to do so because they just assume you're a bad player. This other player, just because of that little play shooting back right there, disengages completely from this fight, and now Pollo's left to deal with a bunch more third parties in a second here. The next mechanic that Pollo does very, very well is this quick little stare edit out while looking to the side. So many people make the mistake of going ahead and turning 180 degrees and editing out this way, but the issue with that is somebody breaks this stare, you have no awareness or ability to hold it. So Pollo always edits out either to the left hand side or more commonly to the right hand side like this, which basically allows him to set up a right hand peak. As you can see, he tries to do it right there, you edit out to the right, and then you have a natural right hand peak onto the other player as they go ahead and pressure into your box. Now the final thing that Pollo does in this fight is he basically just plays time for as long as possible. As you can see, the other player is trying to chase him down, he's getting sprayed by a third party at the same time. So all he does is play time, constantly making space away until the other player is in a bad spot. And if you guys have got mets, don't be afraid to do this. Keep on building and keep on wasting materials and basically force the opponent to be in a bad spot. And now, as you can see, this guy's made a massive mistake as he's trying to approach from below, which is probably the worst angle you can approach from a box jump. All Pollo does, swings completely to the right, catches the guy when he pulls out his pickaxe. He hears the pickaxe audio. This pickaxe is really, really loud, the icebreaker. Shouldn't use that. And he goes ahead, hits a nice little shot. Guy gets caught out trying to spray through, and he goes ahead and takes out the player just very, very quickly with 2 shots. And now he's completely fine to deal with the third party, because of course you get the siphon this season. Another thing that he's really, really good at while we're on the topic of defensive fighting is doing these long range, quick little timing tags. So what he does is he blueprint edits maybe a wall, maybe a stair or a floor from quite a distance away where the other opponent really isn't expecting it to be edited, and is able to go ahead and open the fight up with a little bit of damage over and over. As you can see, just doing that is able to go ahead and hit this other player so much, and he gets himself into a situation where he was getting third party a second ago, and now he's able to go ahead and take out the other player without taking any damage in return. Now the next reason that makes Pollo such a good player is he basically always does the very basics, the very key fundamentals of Fortnite correct, and these are things that, I'm not gonna lie, probably all of you watching this video know about and you should be aware of. If you've watched my videos, you watch Resubs videos, watch other content creators, and you know these basic things to the game, but you just forget to do them. Like right here, he starts smacking on a wall in the open and he isn't able to get it quite straight away. So what does he do? He just pauses for a second, boxes up, covers all his angles, makes sure if the guy was to re-aggress him, if he did get hit 100, he'd have some safe space to work with, and immediately starts re-aggressing the wall right here. And very crucially, he uses his AR and his shotgun to replace walls rather than just running up to them and double pickaxing when it's not exactly safe to do so. As you can see, goes ahead and pickaxe after the shotgun, so he gets it straight away. The guy edits, again, really, really good peek, stops the guy from being able to peek back onto him by holding on the right hand, and then does a very nice shotgun replacement distance. And I'm sure this entire fight, all of you guys watching could have done, and you probably would have done, but take a look at how Pollo does it, even after he hits the guy white. He takes a second, pauses, pops down a blob, so there's 0 chance that he loses this fight. He gets back up to full 100, and then re-aggresses. And how does he re-aggress? He doesn't make the mistake of running up to him, pickaxing the wall, because again, he's already done that a bunch this fight. The guy's probably going to predict it and edit him. All he does is sprays the wall, gets it down to low HP, and then invis, runs in, sprays, shotgun replaces, cone slide, and then takes out the other player, because he knows he's got the damage advantage and the health advantage in that fight. Genuinely, the things that Pollo does aren't the craziest. He's not, you know, a Peterbot type player where you can just arguably say, oh, he's the best player in the world, he's the GOAT, he's doing things that nobody else can do. He does things that pretty much everyone watching this video can do and is capable of doing, but he does them at such a high consistency and never really makes mistakes that I'm sure a lot of you guys watching do. In this next fight, there's two more very simple mechanical plays. The first, whenever you're approaching a wall, just pump it and actually go ahead and get it ready for your pickaxe swing, or even ready for your AR, so you can break it much faster. And this is when he actually does something very smart. As he listens to audio cues, here's this guy trying to disengage with mobility, and all he does as he comes forward is he places extended cones over to the side. If you guys didn't know, cones have a way higher range to actually place them compared to walls or floors, for example, and you can actually place a cone through an edit, even through a window, if you're looking through that window, and get peace from miles away. Then all he does, swing on the guy's own right hand peak, the guy's looking completely lost, and he takes him out. Now, one of the last things that I think makes Pollo such a good player overall is the fact that he doesn't take unnecessary risks. Like this situation right here, I'm sure you guys have had this happen a lot in game. You get a wall on cone of somebody and you don't want to let them rebox, so what do? You maybe stand here and just go ahead and shoot and trade a 100 damage shot, or you do a top row, or you do a different type of peak that involves trading a little bit of damage with the other player. And this happens the entire time. Somebody, when they're panicking and you've got cone on them, it's just going to stand there and shoot you back, hoping to hit a max. But Pollo never takes these risks. He goes ahead, gets the cone on the player, and look how he completely swings to the side of the box. This other player has basically zero chance to hit him in this situation. And he also reloads his gun at the same time as he does this, and takes that other player without taking any damage in return. And that peak that he just did to that player right there is actually the exact same peak that he did when he won the very first game of the FNCS that just happened, that we'll be taking a look at in a second. He did a 1v2 against a very good team with that exact peak, and that's why you guys need to practice your fundamentals of not taking bad peaks when you shouldn't do. And again, right here, this is a slightly different situation. Other opponent has a double hit on him. He goes ahead and blocks the shot, immediately goes ahead and hits a little bit of chip damage to the guy, so now he's got health advantage. And look what he does. Trades places the other player, lets the guy line up a bad shot by doing a bait edit right there, and goes ahead and 50-50s in a situation where he knows the other guy's got heals and he's going to be able to recuperate whatever he spent on that fight. It's really important you guys take calculated risks with ending fights. Like if somebody's full boxed, obviously don't just jump into the full box. You can do so many better peaks to end the fight easily, and that's one thing that Pollo does really well. Whether it's, you know, first game of solos or last game of like a clutch grand finals, is always setting up good peaks. All right, first things first, let's go ahead and explain what these guys do early game. The first very crucial thing that they do as they drop in and realize they're uncontested is scout and get information. You guys need to get in the habit of doing this as soon as you're on con. Scout and know exactly where the other teams are nearby. You can see Pollo do that as he drops in, as well as you can see Aegis do it. He's scouting exactly where teams are nearby, which allows these guys to plan out their surge strats early game, as well as make sure they can be very risky spreading out this wide, which allows them to be more efficient. But also, there is no chance that they die or they get pushed straight away doing this strat. Then what Pollo goes ahead and does is very quickly gets cap shield from all of these barrels nearby, and he makes sure to save all of his poppable shield because he's going to go ahead and start trading surge with the team nearby. As you can see, since he scouted the team earlier, he knows exactly where they are and what their timings are going to be like, so he's quite safe to do this. He builds a massive double ramp up and just trades a couple surge tags with his team nearby, which allows him to basically be ahead of everybody else. At this point in the game, there's basically no other teams that have got this amount of surge, 100+ surge, and this is why one of the main benefits of actually being quick off spawn and being spread out is shown right here. He's able to get a load of extra surge tags on teams nearby, and then very quickly regroup with his teammates. And also, very crucially, you guys saw he whacked down his TP, so he's not going to risk getting jumped by all of these different teams. Even if he gets hit to low HP, he can very easily just TP back and not risk dying. As soon as these guys go ahead and get a little bit of early surge, they focus on getting to a good position, and the position they get to right here and they build their initial base on is really strong for three main reasons. The first reason is, as you can see, it's not quite on the edge of zone, so there's a really high chance that they pull the edge of zone right here, or they pull just next to the edge. Every single early game zone shrinks in by about 30%, around 1/3. So even if zone was to pull max to the north or max to the right hand side over here, which it actually does, they have a really good position where they're basically on edge. And the main reason these edge positions are so strong is all of these other teams have to rotate past or through them. And of course, being in a base like this, you can get an insane amount of tags, and very crucially, you're going to hold priority. You guys on a priority is basically just being a little bit ahead of everybody else, so you can constantly stay ahead throughout the entire game, which is what these guys tried to do. And the last reason why this base is so strong, as you can see, is they're double fishing. If you guys don't know, fishing this season was absolutely busted. They're both fishing, getting an insane amount of extra shield fish. Also, very importantly, is they're getting extra white heals in terms of floppers and sardines, which allows them to stay into this base for as long as possible and actually even stay in storm if they want to. Now, at this point in the game, you might think, oh, these guys have got loads of storm surge, they should probably just rotate and get towards center. But the issue with that is you're not going to get enough storm surge tags, especially for later in the game. So these guys decide to start playing storm. And this is a strategy that you probably saw a lot of if you watched the grands over the weekend. Loads of people were playing storms, loads of good teams were doing it on their stream, and it's just a really common strategy this season. But these guys play it in a slightly different fashion. The first thing that they do is they use all of the extra heals that Acorn has fished up for them down here in this box, and they're going to go ahead and just trade tags in Storm. So all these teams that are playing Storm really early, like first and second zone, these guys are getting free tags on them as they come in from this really strong position that we talked about earlier. And of course, they have all this freedom to do it because of all these extra heals that they fished up throughout the game. Then, and this is the main benefit of this strategy of only playing Storm a little bit later in the game, is if they want to, for whatever reason, if they want to go for a kill, maybe chase down a solo, maybe go ahead and fight in Storm and like soft fight with shotguns, they can very, very easily do this because they haven't taken a load of Storm sickness damage, and also they still, all of them have loads of whites individually, which is really useful. They've all got team whites, basically means they can play around 3 minutes of Storm at this point in time, and of course they're going to get a lot of kills from doing this, exactly like Aegis did right there. He gets a free kill on a team back fighting, they get another free kill right here on a team rotating in a little bit late. And this is the main benefit of playing Storm at the correct time, is you get all the benefits of playing Storm, but you also get all the benefits of being in a good position and also getting a load of damage. And these guys get 3 elims right here, literally just on another team that was playing Storm in a slightly different fashion, and this is an insane amount of points to get in an early game. At this point in time, this is the very first game of the cup, they're in first place just because of those elims. As we go into endgame right here, Pollo is of course tasked with finding refreshes, and he is obviously insanely good at this. I think genuinely one of the biggest reasons for Peterbot's success in, you know, the past 3 FNCSs that he won before this one is because of how good Pollo is at finding good refresh opportunities for him. But really crucially, guys, before you find a refresh, the reason I started this clip a little bit before he gets this refresh opportunity in a second here is really, really important. He's scouted and he's planned out the rotate, and he's also started actually doing the rotate with the TP right there. These guys all know exactly where they're rotating. They've even thrown their TPs down. Acorn is going ahead and actually, you know, scouting it as well. All know exactly what they're doing. So when they actually go for this refresh in a second, even if it doesn't work out, they still know exactly what they're going to do afterwards. Now let's go ahead and take a look exactly how he finds this refresh. And this is actually a really, really good refresh opportunity. It is a bunch of very nice techniques. The first thing that he does is he doesn't, you know, go a little bit too far from his teammates. Instead, what he does is hold the edit on the stair and looks for this team nearby. He's using a combination of visual audio, so, you know, actually looking at his screen, figuring out where the footsteps are coming from, as well as doing a really, really nice third-person peek with his camera right here. As you can see, what he does is he turns completely to the side in a second as these guys reset this, and he looks through and he makes sure there's only 2 players in this box. One of the easiest ways you can get better at kills is not focusing on trying to kill a full trio, because that's obviously a lot harder. It's 3 people fighting you back. Instead, focus on finding duos and endgames, focus on finding solos, and if you're playing solo cash cup, focus on finding people that are lower HP, because those are just always easier to get kills on, exactly like he does right here. Third person peeks a bunch, so he's already set up the rotate, he's already gone ahead and comm to his teammates, he's already made sure there's a duo, so he's done 3 things correctly so far. The fourth thing is he covers all of the extra angles right here, so there's nobody else being able to run in, they're not able to get pre-edited or edited on from the back, since everything's blocked. And of course, he tells Acorn to get the pre-edit on, waits for all of them to get right here, as you can see, waits before he breaks, so they can all shoot the wall at the same time. Acorn gets the cone in, and very simply, they get the kill. And basically a perfect refresh. There's nothing that other team can do when you get awareness checked by somebody holding a stair on the back of your top, especially when you're a very free kill opportunity. And now, the main benefit of that scouting that we talked about like 2 minutes ago at this point, as you can see, they all know exactly where they're to get to. So even though Pollo is tanking damage on backside, he's not quite with his teammates, they know exactly where they're trying to get to, and they're all able to get together in this exact position right here and be really healthy as well. Now at this point, in first moving, these guys are running into a little bit of trouble, as you can see, because they were fighting backside, because they were getting these refreshes. They're not in the best spot ever. They are doing a very nice job of hugging the edge of zone, but the issue that they have right here is they're getting sprayed, and they're getting sprayed pretty heavily by the high ground team. And this is when Acorn makes a very, very good call. As he goes ahead and decides to go underneath high ground's old build, so they can't spray him as well. They all triple chop through together and actually get towards front side. And now they do a really, really good call, which is basically just using wood when it is free. As you can see, they're underneath height. They're sort of blindsiding height right here. Height's focus on spraying another team. And these guys are able to rotate completely for free with wood and actually get themselves towards front side. And this is when they put themselves in a little bit of a bad layer. They run directly into clicks right here, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but the issue when you layer down like this is other teams that are doing similar things to you are going to run straight into your back, which is exactly what happens right here. So let's take a look at how Pollo reacts. He notices there's a full team going ahead and actually chasing them from behind. So what does he do? Rather than turning his back like Aegis and running away, instead holds the walls and the stair towards this team and goes out the side, which is really, really important. So now these guys actually have all the edits on this team nearby, and they're in a position where they can immediately go ahead and fight the team as they jump in. Pollo takes his time, doesn't rush hitting a 30 pump right here. Instead, he ADSs and makes sure to kill one. He comes for Aegis to come over. Aegis does a really, really good play, which is holding the wall as Pollo breaks it. And now he's going to go ahead and edit. and we're able to get another kill right here. And it's actually really, really good play from this whole trio. And this is probably the reason why these guys win grands, is they all play their role extremely, extremely well. Pollo being the support player, making sure his teammates are safe and actually looking for the kill opportunities like he does. Aegis being the sort of fragger type player who's going in the box and actually getting the loot. They're not double running in the box getting loot. As well as Acorn. If I skip back just half a second here, take a look what Acorn did. It's actually really, really smart play. And if you're an IGL, you need to learn to do things like this. What was Acorn doing while these guys are fighting for a kill? He was first of all tarping and claiming loads and loads of space. First thing he was doing was tarping and making loads and loads of space towards front side, so these guys are completely safe. Then he runs back, closes the edits behind him, really heads up play right there. And also, really, really nice play in a second, as he edits his teammates up so they don't get stuck on a floor that, you know, might not be theirs. Goes ahead and edits the floor that allows them to come up, and also even breaks the stair. Does a pump and an AR break, so now all of these guys can get out of storm safely without another team, you know, maybe grabbing a wall. They all can very easily just mantle up and get out of the box and actually regroup together on front side. And the reason I broke that play down in so much detail is that play won them the game. As you can see, Aegis is cat mats right now. Acorn has put himself in a really good position, and these guys are going to go ahead and execute a win condition. If you guys don't know what a win condition is, this is one of the most important things that you need to learn if you want to get better at Fortnite. A win condition is literally just going ahead and getting something that will allow you to win the game. So in that case, they got a massive refresh, so they've really stacked to mats, as you can see. 1,000 mats, 300 mats, 700 mats. These guys have a win condition in terms of a mat advantage. So how do they use that win condition to actually win the game? Hopefully at this point in time, if you guys have got the Solos Masterclass or you watched any of my YouTube videos on like winning solo games, you'll be thinking in your head, oh, they should go for height. And that's exactly what they do and exactly what they should do in this situation. First thing that they do is they don't make the mistake of editing forward when they're not really aware of where height is. And instead, what they go ahead and do is tank storm on backside. Remember earlier in the game, they were saving all of those individual team heals. So they've all got splashes still, and as well as a blob. They're going to go ahead and use that advantage from their early game strat to actually take height right here. What they do is they tank storm. They go ahead and play the splashes and the blob. And if we go ahead and take a look at which team it is up on height, as you guys can probably predict, it is Peterbot and Cold, the probably two of the best fighters on NA, but there's nothing that they can do to counter this height take. They have no awareness on where this team was. This team just got a 2,000 mat refresh, something like that. And what they're going to go ahead and do is do a right hand peek from way deep in storm. They take out Cold right here, and then it's a very, very simple job. All they need to go ahead and do, throw their TP up in the air, connect up on height, and there's no chance that they're going to lose height at this point in the game. That is a literal perfect execution of win condition. So again, the whole game plan was set up to have these team heals later on in the game. They get one big refresh from really well played individual stuff from all of them, and they go ahead and take height. And now these guys are basically guaranteed to win this game because of how many mats they have up on high ground at this point in time. All they need to do is tarp on the right hand side of the zone, set their TPs, make sure they're properly connected as well, so they're not any weak points that they can get chopped out, and then go ahead and spray as much as possible and basically grief all these other teams that might be thinking of looking for height. And the key thing, even if another team like, you know, Peterbot right here, or, you know, Muzz, Japco, and Rise right here, or even like Clix, the Omzo, wants to go ahead and look up at height, as you can see, these guys all have angles looking down on them, as well as they're double connected. There's not really any weak points in this connection because of the mat advantage. The reason why a lot of teams tend to just sort of yo-yo height back and forth is they don't have good enough mats when they go up for height. So when they're trying to hold it, they can't be double connected, they can't be secure, and that basically means they lose it as soon as they take it. These guys go ahead and do a really good job of noticing the team that's trying to spray them and trying to chop them out. It takes too long for that team to chop them out, and now they have a very, very easy time of holding height for the rest of the game. That team knows that they have to play mid ground. They can't go up for height because of how well these guys are playing up on high ground. Now, even though this game might look unlosable, somehow, some way, these guys managed to almost milk this entire thing. And maybe it was day one of Grand's nerves or something like that. As you can see, they're setting up Pollo to play ulti height while Aegis goes down with Acorn right here. And unfortunately, Aegis gets absolutely maxed and goes down, as well as Acorn runs out of mats in a second hit and gets chopped and actually goes down as well. So despite this, it's all left up for Pollo to clutch this. First thing he does is kills Muzz right there. Really hard shots. If you guys ever try to aim on somebody directly below you like that, it's actually really hard to do. Manages to take out Muzz right there, as well as very crucially sets his TP up on height. Even though he gets chopped, he's able to regain high ground and actually stay above this other team. Now he's left in this very, very difficult situation. Braids is knocked on the floor as Acorn actually goes down right here, and Pollo is left in a 1v2. And as you can see, these guys down on low ground, even though they're not the most healthy ever, are in a really, really strong position to win this. Their teammates are going to bleed out and give them extra mats. They've got a body on the floor right here of Acorn. So let's take a look at how Pollo was actually able to win this. And this clutch won them the entire cup, since obviously the extra points they got from this clutch won them the cup. Also basically set them up with this massive momentum of really consistent games the whole way throughout. So let's take a look at how Pollo actually won this clutch. Now, the first part of this clutch from Pollo is he goes ahead and doesn't give the other team any time to think. This is really, really crucial. If you're ever in a clutch situation or in a 1v2 or 1v3 or something like that, you can't let the other team regroup and plan out what they're going to do. You want to go ahead and catch them straight away. He does this by pumping and then going for a bait replace, but he notices the other player looking at him. As you can see, he notices the other player, so immediately blocks the angle of the cone, then opens up and immediately places a wall and then sets up a right-hand window peek. Really, really simple mechanical stuff, but to do that in a type of situation like this and actually set us up a good peek on both players is really, really impressive. Then he goes ahead and loses height and actually gets awareness checked right here by the other player, as you can see, but he knows at this point in time, especially considering he's 1 HP, he knows he needs to go ahead and open edit and actually just hit a 50-50 shot, which is exactly what he does. But the key thing with this 50-50 that he does in a second, if I watch it from a Minish's POVs, obviously, not super low HP, look how good this peak is on a Minish. And this is why I really, really recommend you guys practice doing proper peaks, because it plays off so much. If he went ahead and did a bad peak right here and he's 80 HP and just took a little bit of damage, he would have died to Storm as soon as he tries to get out of this situation. But because he does a good peak, because he has the mechanics to edit while swinging to the left, so he's completely hidden, allows him to swing out, hit a max onto a Minish right there, and does a nice little reset, and is able to do the jumping side jump and actually get back in Storm. If he did a single bit of damage right there, he would have lost this clutch and lost the entire cup. But that is how significant that one peak was. Again, really, really simple stuff. Just doing a random peak. He's able to do it in these high pressure situations. Now, all he does is play time and he waits for his siphon. As you can see, uses visuals builds against him, goes ahead and plays time for his siphon. And then let's go and take a look at this final peak. Since he knows he's got a little bit of time in Storm right here, go and take a look at this final peak that he does. He knows he has to fight. Take a look how he peaks. He jumps over Visual's heads, who's trying to stay in Storm since he's low 8 whites. Jumps over his head. Impossible shot for him to hit, as you can see right there, as he's jumping over his head. And then Visual goes ahead and dies to Storm, and Pollo hits the shot at the same time. Genuinely one of the best played 1v2s, and to do that, especially first day McGrands, where you're feeling a little bit nervy and nobody's playing their best in first day McGrands, this team basically executed this entire game. Their game plan, as well as exactly individual moments, executed it absolutely perfectly, which is why, crazy take guys, I did predict him to win FNCS, or not predict, but I predicted Pollo to win FNCS for Bolts and Rapid. I think Pollo might be the best player. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. I know Peterbot obviously had insane clutches, but his whole team is like geared around him having insane clutches. Pollo has now won 4 FNCSs in a row, which is kind of crazy. Again, not the flashiest clutch ever, but literally just really good fundamentals, really good basics, and won his 4th grands in a row, which I don't think's ever been done on like a proper region, doing a 4P, including a LAN as well. Absolutely crazy stuff. So let me know in the comments, do you guys think Pollo is actually the best player, or maybe, he fluked FNCS? But personally, this is probably one of the best executed game plans that I've seen from a good level team in a very, very long time.